Now the case is of variable thermal conductivity. Now let us assume that thermal conductivity varies with temperature according to the relation as specified or as given here. uh, K is equal to K naught 1 plus beta T, where K naught and beta are constant. So when the effect of temperature on thermal conductivity is considered, then let's see what the Fourier equation is written as. So Fourier equation is Q equals to minus Ka dt by dx. Now you must be familiar with this one. Putting the value of thermal conductivity, since it is dependent on temperature, so the equation becomes this one, as you can see. Then K is equal to K naught 1 plus beta dtx. Now determining the rate of heat transfer after taking the integration limit to be T1 to T2, then net rate of heat transfer will be after integration and putting the limits will come to K naught 1 plus beta Tm. So a case of simple integration. Let us assume that K average, uh, instead of K naught beta Tm, that means this equation, this one, I am writing it as Km as K average, sorry. So this is K average. So equation reduces to K average A T1 minus T2 over L. So now you can see that the equation reduces to the same form, and K is replaced by K average. Now moving towards the next part, temperature distribution in the wall. So students, what does this mean? This means that how the temperature varies along the wall. Since every now you are aware that temperature wall has some thickness, and temperature does not vary along a straight line. But else it follows some path, and that path is determined here. Here I am assuming the variable thermal conductivity case, so that a real glimpse can be given to you, all of you. So to determine the temperature distribution in the wall, let us assume the Fourier's equation. So Fourier's equation can be written as, again, this one. Since thermal conductivity is a function of temperature, so rearranging, and this equation becomes this. Now assuming the thickness to be along of x distance, then after integration, putting the limits t1 minus t2 from t1 to t2, and after integration, the equation can be written as, this is the equation. Rearranging this equation, it is written as, now you can see that this equation is quadratic in temperature T, whose solution can be given by Sridharacharya's equation. So this is the temperature. Since it is a quadratic, therefore the variation along the wall can be given as in this diagram. So accordingly, according to the value of beta, the temperature profile is shown here. Just go back to the one. Since beta is maybe positive, negative, or equal to 0, then accordingly the profile of the temperature variation can be this or this one. Okay. Now moving towards the second, till now we have studied heat conduction along a plane wall. Now moving towards the composite wall. So heat conduction, this is a general diagram. From here you can see that heat is being transferred normal to the surface, and temperature T1, T2, T3, T4 are at the surface and the junctions respectively. There are three solids A, B, and C of thermal conductivity Ka, Kb, and Kc of different length La, Lb, and Lc. An equivalent resistance diagram of the composite wall system is drawn here. Students, you must be familiar with this network system as it will help a lot in solving various numericals, but the system may fails in complex system. This type of solution of numericals of may fail in complex system. So the resistance of the composite wall system is shown to be La over K by A, Lb over Kb into A, and Lc into K, assuming that the area is constant. The equation is written in this form. So again writing, so according to Fourier's equation, that is Q equal to K T1 minus T2. I have written here the values of T1 minus T2, T2 minus T3, and T3 minus T4. Just go to these three equations. You can see that it is just a rearrangement of terms. Now if I add all these three equations, then I will get the temperature difference from surface to surface, that is inner surface to the outer surface, in terms of RTH, that is the thermal resistance. Rearranging, so net heat transfer is T1 minus T4. Now please look at this term which I am ticking it. Now you must be knowing that what is La over K. It is thermal resistance offered by the surface A, this is by surface B, and this is by surface C. So therefore I have written it here, thermal resistance due to A, due to B, and due to C. So this was the case of three surfaces. If I assume to be of n slabs, then the general equation can be written as in this form. Now this was simple system in which only series where series heat transfer was in series. If I assume that heat transfer is also present in parallel form or in combination, then the equation can be written as, so this is a general diagram of heat transfer in series and parallel. So here you can see the complexity of the system now is increasing. See, the here heat transfer is in along A, then it is divided into B and C, then again a combined form, then again heat is being divided into E, F, G, and then at last Q. So a combination of series and parallel system, and here electrical analogy is also drawn. In this fashion, series and parallel numericals can be done. Now moving towards somewhat another definition. The definition is overall heat transfer coefficient. So students, what is overall heat transfer coefficient? Just listen to it. For fluid to fluid heat transfer, uh, when heat is, or in other words, when heat is transferred from one fluid to another fluid, remember what I am saying, fluid, from one fluid to another fluid with a metal wall in between them, ठीक है, or across a metal boundary, then usually overall heat transfer coefficient is used, and it is generally denoted by capital U. The same definition for fluid to fluid heat transfer, or for heat transfer from one fluid to another fluid across a metal boundary, then it is termed as overall heat transfer coefficient. So these are the some nomenclature which is referred to the next diagram. L, thickness of the metal wall, thermal conductivity of the metal wall. T1, T2 are the temperatures. THF denotes the hot fluid temperature, cold fluid temperature. HHF means heat transfer coefficient from hot fluid to metal, and HCF from metal to cold fluid. So this is the diagram and the respective nomenclature. Repeating once again, what is HHF? This is heat transfer coefficient from hot fluid to the metal surface, and this is HCF, that is heat transfer from metal surface to cold fluid film. This is the thermal resistance due to metal body. This is the convective resistance due to hot fluid, and again the convective resistance but due to the colder fluid. Now I've written the heat transfer equation for all the three surfaces. What are the three surfaces or the three sur- surfaces? Again I am saying the surface area. First one is from heat transfer is from hot fluid. The first is heat transfer from hot fluid to the metal surface. So for that, using heat convective heat transfer equation, so Q equals to HA T hot fluid to metal surface, that is at temperature T1. Now here H used is heat transfer coefficient from hotter fluid to the metal wall. The second one is the Fourier equation, Ka T1 minus T2 by over L or X. Again third is the heat transfer from metal surface to the fluid, colder fluid. After rearranging that equation in temperature form, that is THF minus T1 upon Q, and other forms, so adding, so we get again QHF, this. After rearrangement I can write this, where U is the overall heat transfer coefficient. Now you can see that what the overall heat transfer coefficient means. It is the heat transfer from metal fluid to fluid with a metal surface in between them. So now it is clear that the ratio of temperature drop to the thermal resistance is constant because Q is constant. Thus, larger the resistance, larger is the temperature drop. Now, students, coming to the after finishing this part, coming to the heat conduction through hollow and composite cylinders, the same pattern is followed in derivation as for the plane walls. Only difference here will be that area is going to change, as you must be knowing that here 2 pi r or the surface area will be used, and in the plane wall it was the surface area L delta x into L. Now again taking the case of uniform thermal conductivity, as I have taken in the plane wall also. This is the respective diagram. So here you can see this is a hollow cylinder of length L. The it carries a hot fluid inside it and ambient condition outside. R1 and R2 are the two radii. Considering the heat transfer at a section R, at a distance R, heat flows radially outward. Now you must be aware of this thing also, and temperature variation is shown here from the inner surface to the outer surface. So the general one-dimensional heat conduction equation with no heat in generation can be written as this form. under steady state, and after integration this equation is obtained, which after integration C1 is a constant of integration. So this we get t is equal to, where C1 is constant of integration, C1 and C2. Now these constants value may be evaluated according to the boundary condition at r is equal to r1. Just going one slide back. Now at r is equal to r1, that means here I assume it to be, that means at this point r is equal to r1, t will be equal to t1, and at r is equal to r2, t will be equal to t2. So here I have written that one, and after solving this equation will be generated, and the value of c and c1 will be obtained. Putting these values, the final equation will look like this, or in this form. Now students, this is a dimensionless form and is very popular in thermal engineering, that all the things are represented in dimensionless form. This means that this equation, as you see, that it is in a dimensionless form, and this is also a dimensionless form. Now the equation, this equation denotes that the temperature distribution across the cylinder is logarithmic. As you can see that it is a log function, so therefore a temperature distribution will be logarithmic, and moreover this logarithmic function is a function of radius only, as you can see that ln r over r1 or r2, so it is a function of r only. Now if we take the composite length, that means composite length is taken. So let T1, T2 and T3 be the temperature at point 1, 2 and 3, and let L be the length of the composite cylinder, and H, HF and HCF are the inside and outside heat transfer coefficient. So this H is the same as we have discussed in the plain wall case, and T1, T2, T3 are the temperature at point 1, 2 and 3. Just going back one slide again, this is are the temperature R1, R2 and R3 at T1, T2 and T3. So the rate of heat transfer can be written as shown in here. So QHF means the heat transfer is from hot fluid to the inner surface of the cylinder. This is heat transfer due to conduction only, where R1 and R2 are the thickness, represents the thickness of the cylinder, their difference, and this is again the heat transfer for the from hot metal tube, outside the tube, to the ambient condition. So rearranging the terms, that means again rearranging the terms in temperature form, and writing the equation, we get the final equation in this form, or Q is equal to this, where again this is the thermal resistance, or the you can write overall heat transfer resistance, because it is again from hot fluid to the cold fluid between a metal body in between them. Sorry for that. So this is the final equation, and generalized case will be if there are for if the inside out will be represented in this form. So the same pattern as the wall, as we have derived the wall equations. Now the next term is logarithmic mean area for the hollow cylinder. Now students, as you know that it is considered to calculate the heat transfer from a wall as compared to a cylinder. You have might seen the equations involving the cylindrical part and the rectangular coordinates. So till now you have understood that rectangular coordinates are much easier to handle as compared to the cylindrical coordinates. So whenever cylinders are there, so it is we can convert it to a equivalent mean area. So that mean area is known as logarithmic mean area for the hollow cylinder. So it is written this part only. To it is considered convenient to have an expression for heat flow through a hollow cylinder of the same form as that for a plane wall. The thickness will be equal to the area and will be equivalent to as shown in the figure. So just look at the figure. So this is the cylinder through which heat transfer is taking place. Its thickness is R1 inner radius, R2 outer radius, T1 inner temperature, and T2 is the outer temperature, K is the thermal conductivity. If I am considering the same heat transfer from the plane wall, then the plane wall thickness will be equivalent to R2 minus R1. T1 will be the temperature at the inner surface, T2 outer, and A mean let it be an equivalent area with thermal conductivity K. So students, I think the diagram must be clear to you. Moving one slide back. So as you know that heat transfer through the cylinder will is written as this is given by this equation, and for the wall it is given by this equation. Now we have assumed that, or we have written that heat transfer must be same. So that means heat transfer from the cylinder will be equal to the heat transfer from the plane wall. So equating both the equations, we get this thing, and the mean area after rearranging the terms comes out to be this, where A naught and AI represents the outer radii, outer surface area, and the inner surface area respectively. Now moving to the next part is the heat conduction through hollow and composite sphere. Sorry, due to wrong sequencing of pages, some matter is got mixed up. Therefore, I am correcting a few of the things which I have told you previously. Till now, I have come up to this point. Therefore, till now, I have told you that T1 minus T2 in dimensional form is represented in the for cylindrical, and I have told you also that temperature distribution across the cylinder is in logarithmic, which can be expressed as a function of radius only. After that, due to wrong sequencing of pages, some thing went. I've told you about composites. So after this, please correct the points. I'm going to the next correct page. Please, sorry for that. So after the temperature distribution and represented in dimensionless form, the heat through cylinder can be determined by the Fourier equations, which is written as q equals to minus k dt by dr. And since we are known about the temperature distribution, which is written here, differentiating it with respect to r, we get the heat transfer q equals to delta t upon ln r2 by 2 pi kl. So student, this is thermal resistance which is offered by cylinder, and where or q equals to delta t upon rth, where rth is ln r2 by r1 upon 2 pi kl. Now as in the case of plane wall, here also various cases arises First one is variable thermal conductivity. So as in the plane wall, I have considered that variation of thermal conductivity be dependent on k is equal to k naught 1 plus beta t, where k naught and beta are constants. Same parameter I am using for cylinder also. So putting this value of k in Fourier equation, the equation can be written as, q equals to minus k dt by dr. Therefore now q equals to minus dA dt by dr, it is written here. Putting the value of k is equal to 1 plus beta naught t. So after rearrangement and integration, we get the final equation as written here. So q equals to k naught t1 minus t2 1 plus zeta tm. As stated in the plane wall case, again the same thing can be written here. That is, sorry for that, that is k average is equal to 1 k naught 1 plus beta tm, replacing this term with therefore q average is equal to, where k average is equal to k naught k m plus 1 plus k naught 1 plus beta t mean. Now the temperature distribution in the wall, that is whether the temperature profile within the cylindrical wall is parabolic, polynomial function, or other forms of function. So we have to see that. Putting the equations, assuming variable thermal conductivity and integrating, again it is a quadratic equation whose value is given by this function. This is the value. Hence the temperature distribution here also is a function of purely R. Now the heat conduction through composite cylinder, as in the plane wall, heat conduction through plane wall composite wall was also studied. Here it is composite cylinders. Now you can see that here I have taken a hot fluid which is flowing inside the composite cylinder. A is one surface, B is another tube whose radii are R1. This is the R1 radii. This is R2 radius, and this is R3 radius. It is a hot fluid which is flowing inside the tube. Outside is a cold fluid. HCF is the heat transfer from the outside metal body to the ambient condition. HF is the heat transfer from the hot fluid to the inside metal body. And Ka, Kb are the thermal conductivities of the metal body, metal tubes A and B. So T1, T2 and T3 are temperature at point 1, 2 and 3. L is the length of the composite cylinder, and HF, HCF as I told you earlier. So the rate of heat transfer, first of all, from hot fluid to the inner surface of the composite cylinder, it is given by, it is the convection heat transfer, so convection equation. Then from heat transfer through metal body, that is metal surface A, then metal surface B, and from metal surface to the outer ambient condition, that is from TCF. So writing in the form of temperature difference and adding all the terms, we get this equation, or Q equals to this thing. Now if we assume n concentric cylinders, then the general equation can be written as, so this is the general equation, sorry, this one is the general equation. Now log mean area for hollow cylinder, this I have explained you earlier also. Same derivation, so no need to explain it again. So the rate of heat transfer when variable thermal conductivity is being considered, again for the variable thermal conductivity I am considering that thermal conductivity varies along k, the equation k is equal to k naught 1 plus beta t, where k naught and beta are constant. Putting this value in Fourier equation, we get this thing. Now rearranging the, so we are putting the value of area, we get q is equal to this value, and integrating from the limit r1 to r2 with temperature T1 to T2, so we get q is equal to, and assuming again k average is equal to k beta Tn, where T mean is the, here it is written T1 plus T2 by 2, therefore the heat transfer is given by, for the case of variable thermal conductivity. Now the last case in the case for the sphere is temperature distribution in the wall. So again q is equal to minus k, which is a function, now k is a function of, k is equal to k naught 1 plus beta t as specified earlier also. Now substituting all the values and integrating within the limits of, sorry for that, R1 to R2 with T1 to T, where T is any general temperature at location R, we get the temperature profile. Now you can see that temperature T is again quadratic in T, whose value is given by this function. Now the second case is heat conduction through a composite cylinder. So the corresponding diagram for composite cylinder is shown in figure. Sorry, the figure is not provided, but it will be similar to the cylindrical one. So now you can see that I will explain you that this equation is the convection heat transfer from the inner fluid to the inner surface of the sphere. This is the heat transfer due to conduction within the sphere. Again the second part, if it is a composite cylinder, then it is the A cylinder, A sphere and B sphere. Now this is the heat transfer from the B sphere, that is the outer sphere, to the ambient condition. Again rearranging in the temperature form and adding all the equations, we get THF minus TCF, that is the temperature difference between the outer fluid and the inner hot fluid to the outer cold fluid, and Q is given by this one, or the overall heat transfer coefficient. And if there are n cylinders, then this is the equation. And if the values of H is not considered, that means if I eliminate this and this, then the equation reduces to this form. So now the logarithmic mean area for the hollow cylinder, as for the case of sphere cylinder, it is logarithmic mean area for the hollow sphere. As for the cylinder, we have derived for the sphere also, the concept remaining the same. Since the heat transfer is assumed to be same for the sphere and its corresponding plane wall, So heat transfer through sphere is given by this equation, and through plane wall is given by this equation, and this is the equivalent area or the representation of hollow sphere to the plane wall. Sorry for that it is written in a cylinder, but it is a sphere. Then equating both the heat transfers, the equation becomes A mean is equal to, this is the equation, A mean is equal to 4 pi r1 r2, or mean is equal to this one, or radius mean it is equal to r1 r2. So this is the equivalent area or the equivalent radius. So students, this is the how the derivations is done. If you know the basic equations, that is the one dimensional equations, then you can come up to any for composite cylinders, temperature variation and heat transfer, and all other forms. Now coming to the next topic. Next topic is critical radius of insulation. So students, the next topic of interest is critical radius of insulation. So what is first of all insulation? So insulation is a material which retards the flow of heat with reasonable effectiveness, is known as insulation. So this you all know that whenever we insulate something, then heat transfer is being retarded either from outside to inside or inside to outside, from the surroundings or to the system or system to the surrounding. Sorry. Now adding insulation to the wall always decreases the rate of heat transfer. Why? Because area is constant, and the thicker the insulation, it will lower the heat transfer. Because this is to be expected, because as I said earlier, that area is constant. But what will happen if I say that adding insulation to a cylindrical pipe or a spherical shell uh, decreases the heat transfer? Is it true? Uh, might be not. Why? Let's see. The additional insulation as we increase, or the insulation as we put on the cylinder or sphere, so increases the conduction resistance. Why? Because L upon R, ln R2 by R1 part of the insulation, but decreases the convection resistance. You now must be knowing the what is convection resistance, that is 1 upon HA, because increase in the outer surface area for convection. So area is increasing, therefore resistance is decreasing. So the same thing. Now the next is the heat transfer from pipe may increase or decrease depending upon which effects dominate. So this is an important line which I am going to highlight it, that heat transfer from pipe may increase or decrease depending upon which effect dominates. Which effect means whether the conduction dominates or the convection dominates. So consider a cylindrical pipe of outer diameter radius r1. So this is the radius r1, and whose surface temperature is T1. Its surface temperature is T1, and is maintained at constant. T1 is maintained constant. The pipe is insulated. So now this is the insulation, and this is the pipe. Drawing it again once again. So this is the radius, and this is the insulation with a material. Let it the thermal conductivity of insulation is K, and heat is lost from the pipe to the surroundings. So as you must be knowing, let us assume that heat carried is of hotter fluid to the surface ambient temperature with the convection heat transfer coefficient, H. Then rate of heat transfer from the insulated pipe to the surrounding can be expressed as, so this is the rate of heat transfer. I have taken both the types of, sorry, heat transfers, that is thermal heat, uh, conduction resistance and the convection resistance. So this is the equation. This is the combined equation for the insulation being quoted on. So the value now for R2, the value of R2, that means the thickness of insulation for which Q will be maximum. So that means the denominator should be minimum, then Q will be maximum. So differentiating denominator only. Now here variable is R2, that is the insulation, differentiating with respect to R2 only. So we get R2 is equal to K by H. So this is the radius for which Q is maximum, and this is called critical radius of insulation. This definition is important from various point of view, right from your semester exam to the competition. So you must knew it and its basic concept also. So the critical radius of insulation depends upon the thermal conductivity of insulation and the external convection heat transfer as it is shown here, and the rate of heat transfer from the cylinder increases with the addition of insulation, as you can see, but and till it reaches RCR is equal to K by H, and then it starts decreasing as it reaches beyond the critical radius. Now similar derivation can be done for the sphere also. Again, I have written directly the combined heat transfer equation. Now for Q to be maximum, denominator should be minimum, differentiating, but for this time I get for the case of sphere is 2K upon H. Therefore this is the final equation. So students, till now we have done a critical radius and the how to determine the temperature distribution, heat transfer, and the first and the derivations. Now the next topic will be I will be discussing some numericals.